I know Spencer Branch Road like the back of my hand, and I've walked every inch of this land. Our whole family picked cherries and wild strawberries here, stopping just long enough for a picnic lunch before starting up again. We sat on the back porch more times than I can count, and we stacked hay in the fields here summer after summer. My roots, our roots, Spencer roots, run as deep as the hollers in these hills. This is home. This is where it all began. And no matter where I live or how old I get, this patch of God's earth will always be part of me. There was a time when the only Christmas trees here were the ones that grew wild and spindly, a time when this worn-out old ramshackle house was a home vibrant with life. The women might have been out in the yard making pillows out of the soft down from the geese, or maybe they could be found making lye soap over a wood fire. You would likely have found the men shearing the sheep or shoeing the workhorses, and in the cool of the evening, the adults would have often been sitting on the porch, resting after a good day's work, while the kids' laughter as they played was carried up into the hills on the chilly night air. In those days, the home glowed with the pride of those who kept her looking neat and tidy. The yard welcomed you with flowers all around, and the spring house beckoned you on hot summer days to feel the relief of its cool air and to quench your hot thirst with its ice-cold water. The yard and barn made the perfect playground for Pa and his 4 brothers and sisters. Here they played tag, fought as only brothers and sisters can do, laughed and cried, played hide and seek, and baptized each other and caught crawdads in the branch that was wider and deeper back then. Later, the boys worked the farm under the watchful eye of their father, Emery, just as Emery had done right there with his own father. There were cattle, sheep, horses, chickens, turkeys, and geese to feed, cows to milk, wood to cut, and tobacco, corn, and hay to grow. While the boys learned to farm, their mother, Frankie, made sure the girls could cook and clean, sew, knit, crochet, and make those tiny, all the exact same size little embroidery stitches. They also learned how to butcher and cut up a chicken, to garden, and to can and preserve. Life was simpler then, but times weren't always happy, as the graveyard at the top of the hill behind the barn attests. A good many family members of varying ages lie there. Pa's little sister, Cordelia, died before she was even old enough to know that she was one of 6 children. She rests there in the graveyard, as do Ma and Pa, my great-grandparents and my great-great-grandparents, along with many of their sisters, brothers, aunts, uncles, and cousins. As children do, Pa and his siblings grew up. He married Ma in 1927 and brought her home here. After living with Emery and Frankie for some while, they built a small clapboard house just out of sight of the home place. The little 4-room house was home to my daddy and his older brother. Built in the dark days of the Great Depression, their house was built more for utility and not for comfort. Daddy often reminisced about the winter mornings when he would wake up and find that the wind had blown snow right through the cracks between the boards and onto his blankets. The Depression sent one of Pa's brothers and both his sisters to different states to find work and live. Only Pa and his older brother stayed on the farm and somehow managed to eke out a living enough to survive. Although life was difficult through those Depression years, the family still found time for fun that took their minds off their troubles for a little while. There were community-wide corn shuckings with dances afterwards, family get-togethers to harvest and preserve food for the winter, visits to and from neighbors, and games that brought the kids together with cousins all up and down Spencer Branch. Of course, time moves on, and eventually Daddy and my uncle moved off Spencer Branch, and Ma and Pa finally scraped enough money together for a house and land about 3 miles away on Big Helton Creek. In the years after that, as is too often the case, more of the Spencer Branch family scattered to other areas, some close by and some very far away. I can't imagine why the home place was abandoned, but it was, and the gradual decay began to take its toll. The little house that Daddy grew up in fell and was cleared away. The animals were either sold or given away, and brush took over the fields until it was cleared away years later and planted in these Christmas trees. While it's true that we can't really capture the past, that doesn't make it any less powerful or meaningful. As long as someone remembers, it's still alive. So what I see here now is alien to me. What I see, even if I'm only imagining, are the ghosts of the past still alive.
I hope you enjoyed that episode of Back When Stories. If you did, please like and share this video. You would be amazed how many people forget to do that, and it helps more than you'll ever know. Also, if you have a old home place or old farm that has a really neat story and you'd like us to consider it for a future episode of Back When Stories, let us know about it. Tell us about it. Please go to our website at appalachianmemorykeepers.org and send us an email and let us know a little bit about the history of it. And while you're on our website, please consider becoming a member of Appalachian Memory Keepers. That is how we are able to do all the things that we do because of the support of people like you. So for only $10 a year, $10, what can you get for $10? You can become a member of Appalachian Memory Keepers. And by so doing, you get access to every piece of content that we have ever produced, including 35 TV shows that have never been seen on the internet, plus all the stories from our authors, pictures, just tons of great Appalachian mountain-oriented content. So please consider becoming a member, and we appreciate it more than you know, and we will see you very soon in another episode of Back When Stories. Thank you.